This is Tokyo, a city of nearly 37 million people, the economic powerhouse of Japan, and one of the most densely populated urban centers in the world. Yet, unlike many other major global cities, Tokyo has managed to keep housing affordable while continuously expanding its housing supply. How did Tokyo solve its housing crisis? And what can other cities learn from its approach? Let's dive deep into the policies, urban planning strategies, and social dynamics that have made Tokyo an outlier in global housing affordability. From Seoul to London, Beijing to Hong Kong, the story of urban housing is often the same: high demand, limited supply, and ever-increasing rents. In many of these cities, restrictive zoning laws, slow construction processes, and rising land costs have made housing unaffordable for many residents. But Tokyo presents a different story, one of continuous housing development, affordability, and a responsive housing market. The history of Tokyo's housing market can be traced back to the post-World War II period, when Japan faced a severe housing crisis. The war had left much of the city in ruins, and the government needed to act quickly to provide homes for its citizens. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, rapid urbanization led to the construction of large-scale housing developments. In 1968, Japan introduced new housing policies aimed at deregulating land use and allowing more flexibility in construction. This marked the beginning of a housing boom that would continue for decades. One of the key reasons behind Tokyo's housing success is its zoning laws. Unlike cities in the US or Europe, where zoning regulations can be extremely restrictive, often limiting land use to single-family homes, Tokyo embraces a flexible zoning approach. In Japan, zoning laws allow for mixed-use development, meaning residential, commercial, and even industrial buildings can coexist in the same area. This flexibility encourages continuous redevelopment and expansion, leading to an increase in housing stock. Between 2013 and 2023, Tokyo Prefecture added approximately 789,000 homes, growing its housing stock by 1.19% annually. To put that into perspective, California, a state with 3 times the population, only added 924,000 homes over the same period, with a much lower annual growth rate of 0.68%. Tokyo achieves this through high-density development, allowing mid-rise and high-rise apartments to be built efficiently. This stands in stark contrast to cities like Los Angeles, where single-family zoning dominates much of the land, making large-scale housing expansion difficult. Another unique aspect of Tokyo's housing market is its high rate of building turnover. Unlike Western cities, where buildings are often preserved for decades, Japan has a culture of frequent redevelopment. The average lifespan of a home in Japan is around 30 years, compared to 55 to 75 years in the US and Europe. This means that new, more modern housing is constantly being built, keeping the supply fresh and accommodating the needs of a changing population. The government plays a supportive role in Tokyo's housing market, but much of the development is driven by the private sector. Unlike cities where public housing dominates, Tokyo encourages private developers to build through minimal restrictions and streamlined approval processes. By reducing red tape and making the development process more efficient, Tokyo ensures that new housing projects are completed faster. Additionally, the government provides financial incentives for developers who build earthquake-resistant and energy-efficient buildings. So what has been the impact of these policies? From 2003 to 2018, rents in privately owned Tokyo apartments increased by just 2 to 3% overall. In contrast, cities like San Francisco and New York have seen rent prices double or even triple over the same period. By continuously expanding housing supply, Tokyo has kept rent inflation in check, making it one of the most affordable major cities relative to income. Housing affordability in Tokyo is also supported by its world-class public transportation system. The city's dense and well-connected train and subway network allows people to live farther from the city center while still having easy access to jobs and services. This reduces pressure on central areas and allows for more evenly distributed housing development. What can other cities learn from Tokyo's success? The key takeaways include flexible zoning laws that allow for high-density, mixed-use development, encouraging continuous redevelopment to keep the housing supply fresh and modern, reducing regulatory barriers to speed up construction and make housing development more efficient, investing in public transportation to support denser urban living and reduce dependency on expensive central areas. Cities struggling with affordability must rethink their approach to urban planning and housing policy.